welcome to Deep Bites. My name is Deborah. I'm going to do a reading today. I want to talk about love because that's what I feel compelled to do. It's what I like to talk about. I enjoy it. Just going to draw some cards and we'll talk. I'm going to get an overall energy card for you and your partner from Sacred Geometry Oracle deck, and we'll go from there. Let's see what's happening between you and your partner. What does Spirit want you to know? We have transition and consciousness on the bottom of the deck. Ooh, and below that we have romantic love. So that's very interesting. We're going to look at all three of these energies. Mainly we're going to talk about transition. And this is positive. Our relationship should help us to ascend or descend, because both can be very positive. And I think with this transition card, we go up and we go down. And it's a continuous cycle. There's only half here of the lemniscate. It's not completed, and that's why it's a transition. So whatever is happening, it isn't completed yet. It's a process. Our life, everything that happens to us in our experiences with ourselves and with our partner, we are in constant transition. I was reading some Giordano Bruno, and he talked about that the natural state of man isn't being very, very full and complete, satiated, and it's not being very empty of nothingness. It's the in-between, it's the becoming, it's the transition, it's the process. And I believe that, I feel that. And you are being asked to bring your attention there. So we have the consciousness on the bottom of the deck. Something is changing. This relationship, this love is I don't want to say bringing you higher or lower. It's changing you. It's changing the way that you look at the world, the way that you look at yourself. And not just you, but for your partner as well. I feel that very strongly. Because what is consciousness? Is it awareness? Consciousness is life. It's living. It's becoming. Consciousness itself is always in transition. Transition. This is card 43, which becomes a 7. In tarot, it's trump 7, which is the chariot, which is movement, victorious movement. It's the eagerness, the willingness to go out into the world and find and make your own way. It's also the card of Cancer. We are in Cancer season. Mercury goes direct on the 12th. This is a transition, a transitional time, a pivotal moment in our life. In your life, I say our, but this is the way I speak. Think of Mercury here, something about well, it would be Asclepius, the staff with the single serpent. Serpents are wise. They shed their skin. Think of the Two of Discs. Okay. So I'd like to get the dragon on the bottom of the deck. So let's get an animal card for your partner. See how they're presenting themselves here in this transition. What's instigating this transition we'll get into, and just like to see how your partner's presenting on a more primal level with the animal spirit deck. Let's get a card for the partner, please. The cards are sticky. Okay. I'm going to take these two. So we have the peacock and the sea serpent. Something very cool. King of Swords energy, or Queen of Swords energy. Airy about this. So we have the peacock, which is royal, and we have the sea serpent. Here's a very masculine energy with the peacock. Something kind of arrogant. And your partner has had a specific way of being. Very cerebral, very mental. I do feel a little bit of arrogance, kind of know-it-all with this energy. They're very perceptive, more than what they would let on, because when you look at them, you just see this great beauty. You see this beautiful, magnificent creature with all of these feathers, which they show, which can also be a protection. But here, these plumes, they're sensory receptors. They take in information about the world because they're very feeling. Here we have a sea serpent, but it's hidden. You wouldn't know just by looking at this peacock the depths of it. And perhaps that's the transition of your partner. Maybe recognizing these emotions because it's so deep within, so hidden, so well protected. Here, this little nuclei of feeling, and it's growing, but it must be protected. Talking about the transition here, talking about the serpent. You see how it changes. So for your partner, there was one way of being, around and around. It's who they are, where they find safety and solace, and they're proud of that. They worked hard for that. It's who they are. They're very strong, very known, I think. And here, this connection, this romantic connection, is changing the way they move. It's changing their shape. Not so much on the outside. This is on the inside. But the inside will always change the outside. And I think that it would only become more beautiful because these colors here in consciousness, these cards, they're very cool. They're very blue and green. This is like a Taurus, T-O-R-U-S, the consciousness here. The creation of life, the movement, where it comes from the inside, the pulsating beat. Romantic love. That's the inspiration, the catalyst for this change, especially for your partner, which is very beautiful. This is card 39, which is a 12. Think of the 12th house of Neptune, of all of that emotion and that water. Your Neptune here, Piscean energy. Doesn't have to be a Pisces, but in that energy, Pisces rules the feet, which is movement. I'm talking about the chariot. It could be a lot of travel here, movement, distance between the two of you. And not just physical, but spiritually, emotionally, or where you're going together, you're traveling together. See where you are. A card for you. This is really, really beautiful. I think this is what it should really be. So you've got the nightingale and the firefly. I feel like this changes the way that you speak and the way that you communicate for you. There's something that you speak, some kind of way that you speak about what you feel. This firefly is like this romantic love. I think that the throat chakra here, think of four. For you, and this connection is important that you communicate through this. And I think that it could be challenging for your partner, this way that you need to communicate. Just the way that I'm looking at these cards, and the way that I'm seeing them. Relationships are always challenging, you know, but you see here, for you, you have the nightingale with the firefly, this energy that's pulsating, that's lighting up in the night. It's electric. You are electric. And you need to speak that. But your partner, I think you need to speak more about the transitions that you're experiencing in your consciousness. But your partner, see how he's turned and is focused inward, more on the sea serpent, this transition. It's more emotional for them. Whereas yours has more to do with passion and the fire and the will and the impetus for movement. For you, I feel like it's a roller coaster, that there's a lot of excitement here. Venus and Sagittarius, the thrill, the movement, going through it, going up, the anticipation of going up this roller coaster, and you know that you're going to go down and you're going to lose your guts, you know, it's just going to be amazing. You're going to lose your breath. You scream all the way down. Your partner's more reserved than you. Think of Princess of Wands here and King of Swords. Not necessarily a difference in age, but energies and movement. Opposites attract here, but you're both birds. You're both birds. It's very sweet. Different kinds of birds. But your partner, you know, this card always reminds me of the Pistis Sophia. How when she creates without her partner and she's secluded in this place, she's punished. It's a Gnostic text. And she sings, Sophia, she sings. She sings to the Creator, to the Pleroma, for her partner. Repentance. I think that there's an ending of a karmic cycle for both of you through lifetimes. For the feminine, for sure. There's a karmic cycle that's over for you. That's going to raise this level. And I say that almost begrudgingly, to say raising your consciousness or awareness. For your partner too, but there's a karmic cycle that's ending. Transition. We're talking about the Two of Discs. I feel a Saturnian energy here. Jupiter and Capricorn. Jupiter is retrograding in Capricorn still. Changes. Pulling back. Restrictions. The fighting. What happens when Jupiter wants to expand and Capricorn, Saturn wants to teach these lessons, but Jupiter has lessons to teach as well. Jupiter rules the ninth house of higher learning, of philosophy, maybe even consciousness, of awareness, of creation, of art. Love is an art. Romantic love is an art. Consciousness is an art. Transition is an art. Alchemy is art. Life is art. The peacock, the nightingale, they're art. You are art together. You are fire and water. Saying here. Person is water and you are fire. Alright. So where would we like to go from here? Let me get a fairy card. Oh, we have the journeyman on the bottom of the deck here. Talking about that movement. It's card 15, which is the devil. Capricorn, Saturn. very present here, very prevalent. There you are together, moving, full journeys on your way, balancing. Life is a balancing act. Let's talk about this transition and shift in consciousness for the two of you. Where does it bring us? What is the point of it if we come together in life and in love? The purpose of growth, of learning, of romantic love. No, maybe that's an unanswerable question. It has to be lived, it has to be experienced, and it would be different for each one of us. Is there ever a moment of stillness? How do we find a still point in the transition? Is that consciousness? This is card 17 of the star, of the healing energies that we give to ourselves, of electricity. The star is Uranus, it's electric, it's challenging, it's movement, but electricity can be harnessed. It can be controlled like energy. It is energy, it's life, it's breath. It has no end. I guess there's our answer. See what the fairies have to say. So we have Luathus the Wild. Something very earthy. This is very earthy and sensual and lusty. Luathus is lustful. A lot of sexual energy here. This is 57, which is 12, which is the Hanged Man. So we think about the Hanged Man, about bondage, interestingly. That's funny. And we have Geo the Slow. Okay. Taking our time. But also Saturn's influence, of restriction, of you aren't allowed, you aren't permitted to transit, to move until there have been lessons learned. Until something within us, within you, within your partner, is tamed, is calmed, lessons that you've learned, not being out of control with your body, with your spirit, with your mind, with your heart, with your love. But this has taken a long time, and it could continue to progress slowly, this transit. I'm going to get one from the Fantod pack. Talk a little bit more about your partner. What's hidden here? What's hidden here, please? The Child. This card comes up consistently, a lot in my readings. It must be, what's the word I'm looking for? More than general, but global. Something we're all experiencing. Collective is the word I'm looking for. Collective. Think of maturation, of transitioning from an emptiness where we have no substance, of something just being bare bones, of just surviving, playing of, talking about this Luothis the Wild, with the Geo the Slow. But this is a cycle, ways of being for you and your partner that you've learned in childhood, obviously, stemming from childhood, but this rise in consciousness, this transition to more sophisticated ways of being, more feeling, more emotion, especially for your partner, with the sea serpent here. This romantic love to them is completely new. And I keep, the way that the cards are falling, it's almost like they don't even want to look at it. They want to continue looking elsewhere. But I don't think that they can, because they're locked into it somehow. They're locked into this transition, this S here for Saturn, this Saturnian transition. Your partner could have Saturn prominent in their chart, or they could be a Capricorn. Saturn is very heavily influencing this situation. It's karmic, talking about something that's wild and bestial, bondage. The Devil card has two people chained. You have the Devil in the middle, and each person is chained by the neck. They are bound. This causes, I shouldn't say it causes release, but there's an underlying, it seems kind of like superficial, like I'm looking at the colors here. It seems almost bubblegum colors, but it isn't. It's much more sophisticated and underneath. It's what's underneath. It's what you cannot see. It's what you can't see here that is changing. Let's talk about your partner. Let's see what how your partner's feeling about you. How is the partner feeling at this time? I love the peacock energy. So we have the Two of Cups. Talking about that swords energy here. We have the Knight of Swords. Communication. Communicating about this love. The Two of Cups is mutual love. It's shared. You each bring your cup, that you fill yourself, and you share it with the other, and it rises. I was talking about how this one was the staff of Asclepius. I can't say it. And then we have the Hermes here with the two. You see the difference. Each of you are undergoing a transition, a change in consciousness, a change in frequency, because consciousness is alive, it's a pulse, it's a movement. And when you can come together, when you come together here with your hearts, talk romantically. It's a change, talking about the art, because you have the heart fire and you have the water. Balanced. Two birds. So you were two birds, the nightingale and the peacock. They become crows here in the Crow Tarot. And crows are messengers from the underworld. They transverse both worlds of the living and the dead. That's what transition is about, these underworld cycles. It signifies a death, a change in consciousness. We don't experience change unless we experience a type of death. And we rise swiftly, victorious with the lion, the sun, and we become one. You become one, you merge. Each a winged disc. The Knight of Swords. This weighs heavily on both of your minds, but I think a lot for your peacock, for your person. They are thinking a lot of You can't logic your way through love. Love is not something that can be rationalized. It's felt and it's experienced. It's irrational. It should be. It's inspired. It inspires us. It, for you, I think that you deal with that just fine with the firefly, and you understand that there are moments when you light up, and then moments when you are dark, and that's the balance. For you, this could be much easier. You're maybe a little bit more completed this transition than your partner, maybe more ready. Maybe they need more time, and that's okay. I don't think that your partner has experienced real intimacy, real connection with another person. They've been free, like this horse here. They've been wild, unrestrained, untamed. They've always been a show pony. They're a stallion. This is new for them. Some of their ways of being are childish. Not that they're incapable of this, but it's a change. We must allow people the space to change and grow. And not that we want them to change, to be with us, but we can only go so far on our own. When people come together in romantic love, that's when you can go beyond. Something happens between a man and a woman and a woman, or a man and a man, whatever you choose, however that's going to happen for you. But in those moments, it elevates you, and you go high and you go low simultaneously. And holding those heights and those depths is the transition. You see these 2 points, one is high and the other one is low. And you meet in the middle, and you can come back around, and you can continuously move together. You meet. I always think about this as the two energies, the positive and the negative. They go apart and they come together, and they go apart and they come together, like Khalil Gibran on marriage. He said, the oak and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow, but you are pillars for the temple of your love, of your being. So we have the Four of Discs and the Fool. So the Four of Discs is reversed and we have the Fool. They're ready, your partner. The Four of Discs is Capricorn, the Sun in Capricorn. I would be really surprised if we weren't talking about a Capricorn. Your partner were not a Capricorn or had Capricorn prominent in their charts. Was been talking about Saturn the whole time. And of course here we have the Fool. So the Four of Discs, when it's upright, it talks about security, about holding on, about reservations, about holding back. And here it's reversed. It's about letting go and being open. And here with the Fool, we know we're letting go. We're being light. We are having faith in the process, and we're willingly going. And we know that as we walk the road's going to rise up to meet us. We're not going to hold on to our past, to any ideas of what we expect. We don't have any expectations. We just go into this. We free fall. This is the free fall into this. We shed the skin. The peacock loses his beautiful feathers. He gets in the water. Something about a bird to a fish, I don't know. Seems weird, but on the log that this is, that the crow is standing on, this is a log, and this looks like a sword. The Ace of Swords, the clarity, the truth. That as we walk the road, we're underpinned by truth, by the Ace of Swords, by the clarity, by to describe feeling sometimes is difficult. I just have this feeling that as we go, there's this surge of energy, of electricity, of creation, of momentum. When you let go, like, I don't know how to describe electricity because I don't know that much about it, but if you have a current and it's stopped somehow, with the Four of Discs energy, if it were upright, it had been stopped. The current cannot flow. There are blockages in chakras of the mind, of the heart, of the throat. With the Four of Swords, it could be four chakras that are blocked, that these blockages are removed, that the energy, the electricity can begin to flow. And that's what happens with the full energy. It opens, it moves, it's an explosion of energy here. And that explosion of energy leads to a change in consciousness. But does it happen like that? Or does it take time? Does Saturnian energy cause it to be slow? Like Geo the Slow? Does it slow it down? Who's in control of how fast or how slow we learn lessons? You are in control of your body. Your partner is in control of their body and their life. If they sit and they wait and they think, like stewing, always thinking about, oh, I don't know. Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go? Or do they go within to this, like Luwathos, the wild energy, with this four of discs reverse and the Fool, and just go wild? They tap into that fearlessness of let's go, let's do this, but not in a childish way, not in a shallow, hollow way. What does your partner want you to know? What does your partner want you to know? The Emperor and the Queen of Wands. Okay. Tower below the Queen of Wands. Death. Okay. Your partner is very reserved, very controlled, very armored. Here's your peacock. They rule their world. They are... I'm going to say they're the big bird. But the Emperor, of course, is Aries. They don't want to be seen as out of control, as losing control. It's very important for them to rule their world, and perhaps yours, and letting go for them scares them, that they could lose their kingdom. And not material, but spiritual, emotional. Because this Emperor, he's clothed, he's armored, he isn't feeling in a way, I think that you are. Because the nightingale, I always think of standing on water, that it's in the water, the bird's in the water, that you are comfortable there. I just said about a bird becoming a fish. It's like you're this fish bird, where you can be in the air and in the water, and you're equally comfortable, because those are different elements. not everyone is comfortable there. And of course, the emperor is fire. Water, what's out of fire? But I feel like of wood here, that it's not so much that your emperor lacks the passion, it's that they are rigid. Your partner is rigid, armored. They are like the Tin Man, they're creaky and robotic almost. But here we have the Queen of Wands with the Tower in Death. Here's your transition. The romantic love. The passion. The explosive passion here. They want this with you. Very much so. Aries is very fiery. They have no problem with passion. Maybe empathy and the real emotion, the real emotional connection. But I think that it's something that your partner wants, this emotional connection. And who really feels when we think about our world? It's scary, it's unexpected, but I think when they come together with you in this connection, I'm getting hot in this romantic love. It's something that hasn't been felt for them before. This energy, this connection that brings you up and down is unknown to them. And their default is this mode. So let's use the Thoth deck and let's get some advice for you and your partner about moving forward. How do you move forward with this so you can give each other the space? The Three of Discs and the Sun. Here's your Mars in Capricorn. The Emperor is Aries, ruled by Mars. Mars in Capricorn. And what does this do? This moves this rigidity, this pyramid here. There's your structure in the water, stuck. It can't move. But you get Mars there and these little wheels that move and turn, and it moves the water. And you can move, and you have less rigidity here. And we have the Sun, and then the star. And then there's the Queen of Wands again. But you have victory. Moving towards the light, talking about the Sun. The Three of Discs comes after the Two of Discs. After Jupiter in Capricorn. I'm not sure where Mars is right now. I think it's in Pisces, or it was in Pisces. I don't know. But what you need to do, what you're being asked to do together, is to work together, to continue to create the movement within you, within your hearts, within your minds, within your beings, and to not allow yourselves to get stuck. Because sometimes as we go through transitions and changes, we're afraid, we don't want to move, we don't want to change. Mars comes in like this tower. The tower is Mars and Saturn here. It comes to unexpectedly. Mars comes in and it's like boom, and he blows up this old rigid tower. This is a phallic symbol here. It could be explosive as well, sexual energy. Of course, Mars in Capricorn, a lot of sexual energy with romantic love, and appropriately so. But when we talk about things lasting and the longevity, how do you keep that passion alive? And does it ebb and flow? Does this change in consciousness bring you closer together? Does it keep you separate? Are you only coming together so you can act as catalysts for each other? I don't know. What does romantic love mean? Is it permanent? Do we come together? I We have a death card here. This is transition. This is change. Everything here is speaking to change. But what is changing? Are you changing together to separate? Are you changing together to come together? Changing separately to come together? Are all of those happening at the same time? Are they good or are they bad? I don't know. We have the star, card 17, this consciousness. I was talking about how we heal ourselves. In the Thoth deck, I always think of healing. Of course, this represents Aquarius, the mind, Knight of Swords here. Cooling off, cooling down. We have the romantic love and the consciousness. This red and this blue energy. What gives life to consciousness? Is it love? What inspires us? Do we find inspiration in our partner? The passion, we can utilize that to ascend and grow together, to go beyond, to transition. Of course, we have the sun. This could be a literal sun for some of you. When you come together. I do feel pregnancy here. The strength is on the bottom. Leo, just the sun. But there you are, the two of you. This is the end result. This is, it's painful. Transitions are always painful. Change, when we shed skin, you know, we're vulnerable. Our skin is delicate to the touch. Something very sensual here. Very receptive. I feel, I don't know, all over my body, I can feel this energy. But this is the healing that comes from it for the two of you. The celebration of life, of victory, of being able to accomplish something together. This is shared. This is challenging because for me, it challenges my own understanding of consciousness as being singular, as being a self. Because what I feel here is two people, two selves, you know, but you're merging, and it's like the merger of the two of you, of your two whole beings, creates a sun, like a universe where you come together and you create new universes through your consciousness. Because a universe, a solar system, life requires the sun, this energy, whatever that is. The sun is important here for the two of you. Hey, sisters. So we have ambition and contemplation. Here's your fire. Here's your romantic love. This is the passion. Where is it that you're wanting to go? The birch tree. They grow quickly. We have contemplation. This is about also not moving too fast. Not being in too much of a hurry. Thinking and feeling here with this contemplation. Because it's something that should be experienced. Just because you're ambitious doesn't mean you have to go fast. You don't have to tear it up and eat through it and burn through it. No, it's about longevity. Thinking about where it is that you want to go. I think this speaks to your partner as well. We have this stag, this earthy energy, Knight of Discs. This is winter. This is December 24th through January 20th, Capricorn season. Interesting. Getting there, Capricorn is the goat. The goat is going to get there, but it will get there in their own way and in their own time. So solace there, which I think of solace, taking comfort, but of the sun. Alone, you could be separated. Could be at a distance from one another. But you see, she's drawing geometric symbols there in her book, earth, air, water, and fire, and they come together to make spirit. That connection. You see, you have the 6-pointed star there, the masculine and the feminine, the merger. There's definitely a wintry feel here, and of course, winter is about transition. Where the old falls away, you have the new growth. I'm going to close. I hope that you are able to weather this transition and have faith in your partner. Give your partner space. Healing is important here. And awareness. And that's it. I hope to see you again.